Hello everyone. Okay, so today we are going to begin our next topic, that is caste and social reform. Okay, of our chapter number 8, class 8. Okay, so caste and social reform. In the previous video, we have completed till we have completed the topic women write about women. Okay, but in this video, we are going to cover the whole topic caste and social reform. Okay, so in this topic, what are we going to study? We are going to study how people have fought against caste discrimination and how they tried to reform the society, and also how many castes came to the Frankfurt, and a lot of lower caste people were getting opportunities of urbanization and others as well, of education too. Okay, so let's begin. Some of the social reformers we have been discussing also criticized caste inequalities. Ram Mohan Roy. We know Ram Mohan Roy, right? We have just studied in the last, when we studied about the sati practice, Ram Mohan Roy. So, when here, yeah, Ram Mohan Roy. He was also a critic of caste discrimination. Okay, he was the critic of caste discrimination. Then the next comes that he translated, as we have studied the way of Ram Mohan Roy to prove anything wrong happening in the society is to search in the ancient texts where it negates whatever is happening in the society is being negated in the ancient texts, and from there he used to prove that ancient text. He used to bring that those ancient texts in the front foot and tell the people, see, here it is mentioned that it is a wrong thing, what are we doing right now is a wrong thing. So that is how he used to prove himself and tell people that he is correct or not. Okay, and make people believe that he is correct. So Buddhist text for caste discrimination, he translated an old Buddhist text. Now here it comes. Now what he did for that caste discrimination, he translated an old Buddhist text which was critical. Old Buddhist text that was critical of caste. Okay, means Buddha was also critical of caste. Okay, Lord Buddha was also the critical of caste. Now the Prarthana Samaj. Actually, at that time, a Prarthana Samaj was made in Bombay in 1857. Okay, in 1857, and this Prarthana Samaj. Here is this, the Prarthana Samaj adhered to the tradition of Bhakti that believed in spiritual equality of all castes. Okay, so now Prarthana Samaj was actually an organization, a social organization which was made in 1867 in Bombay. In Bombay. We are talking about Prarthana Samaj. Okay, so 1867 in Bombay. Now this Samaj, what made people to believe, to re-begin the tradition of bhakti. And in the tradition of bhakti, in the bhakti, that all the bhakti is something which tells, it is in bhakti it is believed that spiritual equality of all castes, means all castes are equal spiritually. Spiritually means our inner soul. Okay, spirit means our inner soul. So by our inner souls we all are equal. In Bombay, the Paramhans Mandali was founded in 1840. Now this was one Mandali Prarthana Samaj. Okay, we got to know about Prarthana Samaj. Here, your Prarthana Samaj. Then next comes Paramhans Mandali, which was full name was Ramakrishna Paramhans Mandali. Basically, Ramakrishna Paramhans was the was the teacher of Swami Vivekanand. Okay, Swami Vivekanand. Now let's see Paramhans Mandali. So Paramhans Mandali was made in which year? 1840. Okay, in 1840, and it was also in Bombay. Again in Bombay, but 1840, to work for the abolition of caste. Paramhans Mandali was dedicatedly mainly for abolition of caste, but the Prarthana Samaj was also for other social works, social reforming work, such as education of women, remarriage of women, ban on to remove the ban on widow remarriage and all of this stuff. Okay, now next thing comes, many of these reformers and members to reform associations were people of upper castes. Now basically Ram Mohan Roy, as we have just studied, Ram Mohan Roy was also belongs to the upper caste, and he was also uh, kind of means upper class medium, and he was not something that much rich, but yeah, he was better than other people, better than, he was not so poor at that time. But yeah, Ram Mohan Roy was an upper caste man, and he worked for India. And a lot of people, Swami Vivekanand was also belongs to an upper caste. So this is, in this paragraph it is mentioned that many of these reformers, means all many of these reformers and members of reform associations were basically the people of upper castes. Okay, upper caste people are there. Often in secret meetings, these reformers would violate caste taboos on food and touch in an effort to get rid of the whole of caste prejudice in their lives. Now, it is now what these upper caste people used to do in the secret meetings of reformers, where lower caste people are also there and the upper caste people are also there. So upper caste people try their best to make no difference between the lower caste people and the upper caste people, if it comes in the terms to touch or food or something like that. So they don't violate the caste taboo. They would not violate the caste system or the to make caste. They used to violate the caste taboos, means they used to violate the stereotypes of people, so that they should get rid of this caste prejudice in their lives, because they are so habitual of not touching lower caste people, not taking their food. So they used to remove their habits. There were also others who questioned the injustice of the caste social order. During the course of 19th century, Christian missionaries began setting up schools for tribal groups and the lower caste children. These children were thus equipped with some resources to make their way into a changing world. Basically, Christian missionaries began setting up schools for tribal groups. Now, it was a good thing done by Britishers that the Christian missionaries began setting up schools for whom, the tribal groups and the lower caste children. Okay, at the same time, now it is telling about the urbanization thing. Okay, at the same time the poor began leaving their villages to look for jobs that were opening up in the cities. There was work in factories that were coming up and jobs in municipalities. You have read about the expansion of cities in chapter number 6. We have read the term urbanization, if you remember, in which people used to in urbanization, here people used to move from their villages, from the small towns to big towns and big cities, so they could work in good wages. Okay, think of the new demands of labor. Now, actually, as they were going, so there were also the demand of labor. Okay, a lot of demands of labor used to create, so they were useful at that time. A lot of, not like unemployed in the cities, they were totally employed in the cities. Now, why, in what processes labor is being used? Drains had to dug, roads laid, building constructed, cities diggers, carriers, bricklayers, coolies, sewage cleaners, sweepers, palanquin barriers, bearers, rickshaw pullers. So all these works needed labor. Okay, so from where did this labor come from? The poor from the village and small towns, many of them from low caste, began moving. So basically this labor was coming, the poor people from the poor people living in the village, used to live in the village before, but now they have just shifted to the small towns. Many of them belongs to lower castes. Okay, began moving to cities where there was a new demand for labor. Right, now some example, if someone asks you the example of this kind of urbanization that was happening at this time, so a lot of Indians, a lot of poor people from Indians went to work in plantations, tea plantations in Assam, Mauritius, Trinidad, here in Assam, Mauritius, Trinidad and Indonesia. Okay, Work in the new locations was often very hard, but the people from low castes saw this as an opportunity to get away from the oppressive hold. Now, it was really very difficult for them to work in the new locations, to get to know the people, and to leave those people with whom they were used to live from childhood, right? So they would love to work in their villages, but still they have to come in the small towns because of the oppression, because of the force of and forcefulness and humiliation by the local landowners, okay, by the local landowners exercised over their lives. So this, they wanted to get rid of this upper caste landowners hold over their lands. So that is why they like to go out and work outside more. Now, there were other jobs too. In spite of these labor jobs, there were other jobs too. For example, the army, for instance, offered opportunities a number of Meher people who were regarded as untouchable. So Meher caste was one of the castes which was regarded as untouchables. If you remember, we have studied about first Brahmins, then Kshatriya, then your Vaishya, then Shudra, then untouchables. So Meher caste used to come in those untouchables, right? And Meher caste, at that time, Meher people got job in the Meher regiment of army. So there were, army was distributed in regiments. Even still it is distributed in regiments. A lot of regiments have made throughout the India. Rajput regiment and a lot of regiments, okay, a Gorkha regiment. So Meher regiment was also one of them, okay. The father of B.R. Ambedkar, the leader of Dalit movement, taught at an army school. So now the father of B.R. Ambedkar, he was the father of B.R. Ambedkar, who used to teach teach at an army school, okay, teach at an army school. So he also belongs to army, and he also belonged B.R. Ambedkar also belongs to a lower caste, okay. Now here comes, now the next group of people is Dublas, labored for upper caste landowners, cultivating their fields and working at a variety of odd jobs at the landlord's house. So Dublas of Gujarat, carrying mangoes to the market. Dublas were used to found in Gujarat state, okay, and Dublas labored for upper caste landowners, means they were used to work for upper caste landowners in the cities, and they used to work in the cultivating their fields or working at a variety of odd jobs, different jobs, in spite of cultivating of on in their fields, okay. So mainly their work is for upper caste landowners, okay. So this was all in this paragraph. I hope you got it. If you have any kind of question or doubt, please mention in the comment section so that I would be able to answer it. And thank you. Have a good day. Bye bye.